We're now joined with Deputy Chief Adam O'Connor with the Fort Wayne Fire Department. Deputy Chief, thank you for joining us here on the News at 7.
Thank you for having me.
Chief, I guess what I want to start with first is last night I was getting ready to anchor the 11 p.m. news. And about 10 p.m. or so here in the newsroom, we started hearing things on the scanner about a fire, Jacobs Avenue, that sort of thing. We started to get crews in motion. This is a little after 10 p.m. last night. Sent them there. And what makes this situation to me unique, Chief, is that I've covered hundreds of fires in my career as a reporter throughout multiple states. It's been very rare that I've seen a fire several hours later. I've seen crews working a fire several hours later, but I haven't seen so many situations where 9, 10, 11 hours later, the fire is still almost raging. I mean, we're going to show you a piece of video here as our first piece of video of daytime. You know, this is, you know, probably, I don't know, Chief, 10, 11 hours later. How unique is that situation in your experience?
I can tell you, I've never seen anything like it before, but also it's fairly explainable. That type of construction that building's made of, it's turn-of-the-century construction. And so what we have is a brick exterior shell, and then there is a wood infrastructure, which is going to be, yeah, you can see some of the wood laying there.
Yep.
And so in that wood, it's really built like a home. There are beams that hold up joists, and those joists have wood on top and bottom. The top being the floor of the second floor, the bottom being the ceiling of the first floor. And so what we've had, this will be now the third time we've had a fire there. We have a homeless population or an unhoused population, depending on where you live, that consistently builds fires up there. So this isn't unexpected, that situation. But what happened in this one is they eventually, my guess, this is all just me guessing, but because we've seen it a couple times in the last few months, burnt through the floor of the second floor, causing it to drop into that void space between the two floors. Well, the problem with that is it continues to burn, and it was surrounded by wood, and so wood being very combustible, a very flammable situation, but you can't get water to it because it has wood on top and bottom. So this is why it took so long for it to actually bust through. I mean, I was there before that picture you showed, I was there a half hour earlier. It was lazy smoke coming out of that thing. So also what changed in that time frame was the wind changed from the north. It changed to the north, directly from the north, and the joists that run that building that support the second floor and third floor run north and south. And so something in that combination of smoldering and it burning, I mean, it was obviously burning. I mean,
that's smoke.
Yeah, and so wind is very powerful. Wind brings oxygen. Yep. Oxygen feeds fire. And so we had wood, was already there. We had an ignition source, being that it had been burning for quite a while. And then we just added a lot of oxygen with the wind, and it lit off quickly. And all those things that make it really hard to put out originally still made it difficult to get knocked down there. So eventually it burnt through the floors. And as soon as we were able to get our hose streams on it, we knocked it down pretty quickly. But so your question of how did it develop into this where it took hours really comes down to the type of building construction and the fact that the fire was in a place where we couldn't reach it with hose lines.
Really a perfect combination of things for just an enraging flame to go for so many hours. What I want to show is some of the work your men were doing last night. Let's show that video from last night and the video of the firefighters that were their method of attack. Tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here and the reason you guys decided this method. Okay,
so what we're doing now is forcible entry, and that's a roll-up door. And so they're basically cutting that. It's steel. They're cutting it with axes, and then the firefighter to the left is then trying to pull it out with a pike pole. They did open that up. I actually saw where they opened it up today. And so what we're doing there is looking to see if there's fire that they can knock from the exterior and if there's any victims in there. So this building, because this is now the third time we've been there, and also because there are big holes in the floor where they took equipment out 10 years ago roughly, it is the kind of building that firefighters die in. So we had already made the conscious decision we are not making entry into this building. So what we did was the best we could of trying to find anybody that was trapped inside or trying to get out by opening it up and doing what we call a hailing search, which is basically letting them know that we're right outside if they need help. Our hope is that no one is in there, but we are not sending firefighters into a building that's already burnt twice and then has giant holes in the floor, because then we won't be getting them back.
So that really explains to us why we're seeing so much of the attack from the outside, because
Exactly.
you're trying to keep your men and women safe.
Right. I'm really glad nobody got hurt, and I'm really happy with my command on the scene, which would be my battalion chiefs, for keeping everybody safe. They did the best they could to make sure nobody was in there, while at the same time protecting the houses that are adjacent to it. We had hose streams directed at the one garage I know, and basically it's the best we can do with that kind of situation.
And then as far as the cause of it, we know that we're going to get some more official information on this. With a situation like this, the authorities are going to give us some detailed description on what happened here, or what they believe happened.
Well, those authorities are mine, so I can tell you that,
Okay.
not my authority, but the investigators are part of the fire department.
Okay.
I already spoke to them, the chief investigator, and he said that, look, we're going to have to call this undetermined, just because, something like this, you can see the evidence is going up in the air, if there is any evidence. Very tough to investigate. It's impossible to investigate that. So they're going to call it an undetermined fire, but they suspect that it is a result of the homeless population living in there and lighting fires, because they've worked with the police for the last several months to get them out of there. And no matter what, they put fences up and whatever else, they still find their way back in. It's my understanding one guy was running an ad hoc bike repair shop out of there and was heating it with a burn barrel. Well, it doesn't surprise me that eventually it burnt the building down. I don't know if that's what caused it, but people were just doing normal. They were living as if it was a home, and it's not.
For people that are watching who live nearby, we know a lot of people were very concerned on their commute to work. We have some people right in our newsroom who drove right by there, who lived by there, and they saw the amount of smoke, they saw the amount of damage. They were very concerned about it for people that are nearby that area. What can you say to those people who are worried about this situation being so close to their neighborhood?
Okay, well, I can say this. All smoke is bad. So especially structure that's over 100 years old, and we have no idea what was in that wood. It could have been soaking up chemicals or oils for decades. I will say this, though. I did talk with the representatives of the property owner, and they expressed that they had basically been cleaning this thing out for years now, and that it was empty. So I don't think we have to worry about vats of chemicals, that type of thing. Smoke is, you sit around, breathing smoke is bad for you no matter what. I think we all know that. So what can I say to make them feel better? It's out now. That's probably the best thing. And if you are driving along and there's a giant cloud of smoke, avoid it would be the best thing.
Deputy Chief Adam O'Connor with the Fort Wayne Fire Department. We appreciate you joining us here on the News at 7.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much. And we'll be right back after this.